ready for the next battle.
Hello everybody, Pinstripe here. What is going on? Today I've got some interesting gameplay here for you with the Ace class facing up against the Hero, which, as you remember, I did discuss the Ace class previously in one of my other videos, so if you haven't seen that yet, I suggest you go ahead and check it out. But for now, this gameplay is going to be running in the background as we talk about a few things, just highlighting the key strengths and weaknesses of both classes. So first and foremost then, the Hero has the powerful sniper rifle, which as we know does 40 damage per hit. Regardless of the distance, it will always do 40 damage. So this seems to act as the Hero's primary weapon throughout most of this match. Compare that to the Ace though, who has pretty much the same loadout as the Legend, with the Tranquilizer and the heavy machine gun taking center stage. And you kind of really start to see where the Ace must really rely on its other single-use items to inflict further damage onto the team of heroes. So from the primary weapon standpoint, the Hero is definitely the winner, but as you can see from my team of aces, they certainly seem to shine when it comes to mobility. So the ability of having 3 extra jetpacks is a simply delightful change compared to the single use that the Hero has. And that just kind of feels very limited, especially when you attempt to complete missions in the latter stages of the single player campaign. Both classes are of course equally matched in terms of health, but as you'll recall, originally the Ace was meant to have 10 extra health. So whenever I play as a higher ranked class, whether it be an Ace or a Hero, the last thing I want to do is use the airstrike. If you actually begin a round and instantly use the airstrike, the enemy AI, if ranked Hero or above, will retaliate by doing exactly the same thing. This then turns into a huge firefight of airstrikes everywhere, causing the game to turn into a battle of numbers and reliability of the weapon, as the bombs that are dropped from the airship don't always do the fullest amount of damage, as this is greatly dependent on the direction the ship is approaching from and the position of the targeted pig on the ground. The F-Rain Firestrike is the worst for this, as the fire particles that are released from the bomb that is dropped are extremely unreliable as to whether or not they will actually make contact with the pig once they hit the ground. This is an additional weapon that the Ace does have over the Hero, but I don't really see it as being any kind of improvement unless the team of aces is fighting against pillboxes, tanks or artillery. My focus is always on closing the gap between myself and the enemy, as it forces them to take a risk of self-damage should they use their own airstrike. To me though, the airstrike is a way of cleaning up. It's the ability to finish off multiple targets who have, say, less than 90 health, and it's just an easy way of ensuring that your team takes the least amount of damage from the enemy's retaliation. As cool as the airstrike is, I just see them as being an easy option that, yes, provide plenty of damage on the enemy, but in turn causes further problems for you if the enemy has the same form of weaponry. Essentially, it's a double-edged sword. A lot of things in Hogs of War are extremely situational, which is why it's difficult to pinpoint and accurately say whether or not the Ace is better than the Hero or if the Hero is better than the Ace. Obviously everyone has their own preference, but I just wanted to make this video to kind of show what it would have been like had the Ace actually been in the game, and how these two would have kind of come up against each other, because the difference between the Ace, the Hero and the Legend, there's really not much between them, especially when it comes to the visual design of things. At the end of the day, the Legend that we have in the game currently is what the Ace was going to look like, so visually there is always going to be that gap of something missing. On the one hand, it can pretty much be down to hardware, with the game only really being limited to a certain amount of weapons that can be used by a single pig at any given time. I know that there were certain things that were tinkered with the ability of binoculars, of I think it was a wrench or a pipe or something. So I've seen within the community, and people have done some digging of other weapons that have been found that were not actually used, that those are on other versions of the game, whether they be certain European versions, or I'm not really sure on the specifics, but all in all, the differences between all three of the top tier classes, not including the Commando, is very slim, and it only really comes down to the primary weapon of the sniper rifle being taken away, the addition of a tranquilizer and the extra jetpacks alongside the F-Rain Firestrike, which, as I said, doesn't really add too much unless you are battling up against some form of vehicle, because I find that to be the only real use of the F-Rain Firestrike in the game. Against pigs it's pretty terrible, but against artillery and tanks and pillboxes it is just incredibly strong because it can take them out in one hit. It's always interesting to dive into and think about what this game could have been. When you look at the Ace and you look at the word Ace, what is it that instantly comes to mind? To me, it is the Air Force, it's the Red Baron, it's, I don't know, the Luftwaffe, it's the Pacific campaign to the Japanese and the Americans with certain dogfights going on, that kind of thing. And when you think of the ability of having vehicles such as planes and biplanes and all that kind of stuff, and the whole dogfighting element, bringing that into the skies and just thinking of how that could have completely changed the dynamic of what Hogs of War is as a strategy game, you know, just that would have completely changed everything. And having the ability maybe of bringing in the Ace class as like your special weapon who comes in and does a lot of damage and does something, I honestly don't know. To me, I just wish that this game was way more moddable. As you've seen from my texture modding stuff, that, you know, that's kind of cool, being able to alter the way that the players look. That's great. I've seen that there's been tutorials online for things to do with moving models that are already in the game and placing them somewhere else, or bringing in your own models. But I feel like to a lot of people that is very confusing to understand and learn. So I really want to try and push the modding community within Hogs of War and try and get everyone rally behind that, because there's only so much we can do with the content that we have, and maybe, just maybe, we can start to, I don't know, do something with the game and change it, because I've seen and I've heard and I've read that people are making their own levels and making their own modes of things. So the modding scene is picking up, and I know that there is a Russian-based Hogs of War 2 type game thing that's being made in either Unity or Unreal, I think. So I've been keeping an eye on that for a while as well. So there's certainly a lot of stuff going on, but I guess it's all just a case of trying to get the word out. Overall though, guys, that is going to wrap everything up. I hope you enjoyed the video. Just going to be finishing off here with a crazy airstrike from the enemy here, just taking out one of my dudes in the process, which was unfortunate because I thought that I'd done enough to keep him safe, but he killed himself as well, so I win anyway. But like I said, that's going to wrap everything up. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will of course catch you guys later for the next one.